facilities, and just a general sense of what goes on with recycling and, the larger questions of kind of examining our relationships to waste as they stand, especially around the holiday months. So I thought it was a really impactful program. This presentation had 42 registrants and 16 participants, one of which was the Olympic College Green Team with multiple students and professors in attendance. So again, participants were able to learn ways to improve their recycling and upcycling knowledge, what items are recyclable for the holidays and beyond, and what happens to materials as they go through the system. I was also able to provide some follow-up resources for all of the people who registered, regardless of if they were attendees. And we decided to just give them some takeaways. So the things on the screen you'll see are kind of just taken directly from my presentation, slides for them to quickly identify what to do with holiday waste, to share that with their friends and family, and what to do with things like string lights and trees instead of putting them into garbage or putting them into recycling, rather to compost them or find special recycling programs for lights. Yeah, that was a very fun program. And next, I will talk about the one on the right side of the screen. So that's me in the Norm Dix Government Center. And on September 20th of last year, I came to discuss recycling programs in Bremerton. My goal was to talk to building staff, and I actually was able to reserve the chamber with Melinda. Unfortunately, some advertising kind of got caught in a delay, it seems, so nobody was there. So we shifted, and I asked to be put in the hallway and just engage passerby people in the lobby, so that kind of expanded to general public as well. We had great support at the front desk, and people were able to give me a monitor with Melinda's help as well. We played recycling educational games. I was able to further one-on-one conversations through the presentation monitor. I had some fun little prizes, and we were hoping to get a larger presentation, but because we didn't get that presentation, we then created the Recycle Right for the holidays. So it turned out to be kind of like a good kind of spur of events, but that's one of our programs. I'll share some more highlights from last year on the next slide. We participated again in the Bremerton Farmers Market. So we hosted a recycle booth, a recycle and compost educational booth. It was similar to the kind of hallway lobby presentation, where we engage the community in recycling education through games, composting education through games. We're able to show videos and just really have time to talk to the public and encourage them to recycle right, to increase diversion, but also to make sure that they are reducing contamination in our streams. We talked about compost and the organics management law as well, and trying to get ahead, and we'll continue to spread the word about the organics management laws that can impact businesses. So while my interns and I were at the booth, I was also able to kind of teeter around and look for any high yield food processors and connect with them about composting. And of course, it was a great day because Mayor Wheeler was there. I was able to see him the year prior too, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. So thank you again for supporting our work and our outreach in the community. It's always really great to see you. And thank you for the photo opportunity and stopping by. And another highlight for us last year is we continued our WM cart tagging campaign. So these are photos of our interns with the specific cart tags about composting and composting education. We had a great time designing these. I'm sorry that it's kind of small on your screens, but the design is to promote the benefits of composting by engaging in sustainable messaging about how we can improve soil quality, reduce the need for chemicals and fertilizer, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and save water by promoting and participating in composting as an action. And of course, trying to close the loop with composting by reminding people to purchase local compost and enjoy the benefits of beautiful soil. We also included education about how to know what is acceptable in your garden food waste. So last year we were able to do cart tagging in Bremerton over a series of a few days, I believe 3 or 4 days in Bremerton, and we were able to deliver 1,880 cart tags, all by hand, to various neighborhoods in the city of Bremerton. The reason we do cart tagging is that research has demonstrated that attaching educational messaging to residential carts is an effective way to change recycling or waste sorting behavior, waste diversion behavior. It can actually be 65% more effective than just mailers alone. So we were excited to continue that campaign. Now, on to the next, I will present what we're planning to do for 2024 for education in Bremerton this year. So this year, we wanted to shift our approach because we've done a lot of, as you saw last year, we did a lot more kind of like residential and uh, campaigns that were more, geared towards getting residents to buy into composting, and they do have and recycling, but they do have a great waste diversion rate so far compared to the rest of the sectors. So we wanted to target the business sector this year. Um, so starting with one of our first plans is to connect with the Greater Kitsap Chamber and host educational sessions or a session with the chamber and affiliate groups. We are hoping to educate businesses about why recycling matters, how to sort recycling, and encourage waste reduction behaviors on their properties, within their internal operations, and just kind of make ourselves known to those businesses, as using myself and all of the other great people on my team with WM as a good resource to connect with about increasing diversion on their in their internal operations. And then our next plan is to continue connecting with businesses through on-the-ground commercial recycling and compost outreach. We are going to have interns, kind of like the folks pictured in the screen, although they're from last year, so those people won't be joining us. We have a whole new team. We're going to go out into the city this year and connect with businesses that have high contamination rates. This data will be pulled from our internal, contamination tracking mechanisms, and we're going to provide one-on-one consultations, outreach, and waste audits as well that aren't meant to scare them, but meant to kind of inspire them and let them know that we are here for them for recycling. We are also going to continue our farmers market presence in 2024. So we'll host another WM educational booth focusing on composting and recycling benefits, sorting games, contamination reduction, and all the works. And those are our larger priorities for the year. And possible additions and replacement plans is to include another Recycle Right for the Holidays webinar. We are talking about getting myself on the Bremerton TV for a recycling interview through BCAT, and also connecting with the Kitsap Conference Center for a review of their processes and recommendations for updates to encourage them to move towards even more sustainable practices, since they do have such a high volume of people come into their facility. And so those are our updates. The last thing I'd like to share, last year we were able to give virtual tours of a recycling center. WM offers quarterly virtual tours and some now in-person tours for our city partners and the public. WM customers are often wondering what happens to their recyclables after they're collected, does recycling really happen, etc. And we love to demystify recycling on the outreach team. So we've been giving Cascade Recycling Center tours for years, and they did receive a massive update to their facility as we presented on last year. It is now open, and we are touring it around and kind of restructuring our tours to be somewhat in person on a very limited basis and virtual. Since it is in Woodinville, I always recommend virtual for you all if you don't want to make that large trip over. And I invite you to join our next virtual tour. It is going to be held Friday, July 26th from 12 to 1 p.m. And to register, visit your local or our local website, which is wmnorthwest.com, and you'll see a section kind of on the bottom that says recycling centers. And if you ever want to, discuss recycling education and outreach, you can always grab my contact from, or my contact from Melinda, or go through Melinda to reach me for anyone on the city council. All right, and with that, I believe this is all we had to discuss today. Um, Thank you all so much. I'll leave it open for questions.
Yeah, just one. If could I just add one other thing? I know Rihanna was talking about the virtual tour and our CRC and facility. Kitsap, all of Kitsap County, including City of Bremerton's material, goes to our JMK facility in Tacoma, which is a very hard-working processing facility and is not set up for tours, although I think some of you may have come in for tours. CRC, as Rianne mentioned, was totally shut down and gutted, and all new processing equipment put in there, and is a much nicer place to go for a tour because it's set up to handle people walking through. So always, if you're interested, virtual, go to CRC, whatever you would like to do, we're always happy to set that up for you, like Rianne said. And so I just thank you. I just want to throw that in there.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. Council, do you have any questions? Yeah, Denise, go ahead, then Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. I spent the first 10 years of my career as a community educator, and I really value the work that y'all do. I also liked a lot of what I heard. It sounds like you're moving in data-driven directions with a lot of your choices and materials and methods. I'm wondering, I bet I asked this last year, and I'll probably keep asking it. Are any big minds trying to solve the participation level problem? I think especially with multifamily, with us buildings developing so much more multifamily, really concerns me. And there's got to be think tanks around this type of thing. I sense just kind of well, it's kind of always been that kind of a challenge, and I totally get that. So I'm hoping you're going to reassure me that there are minds at work and we're going to change that or somehow eradicate all the damage it's doing. Lack of participation. Yeah.
So I don't know, Rianne, if you want to take a stab at that, or if you want me to start.
Yeah, I can take a stab. So yeah, multifamily work is probably one of the most challenging in many cities for a variety of reasons. Not only do you have residential turnover and a lot of people coming in and out, and property management having to re-educate on their facility or on their properties, all of those tenants. There is also capacity and space and sizing concerns. Are the dumpsters located close enough for people to walk down their recycling? Are there internal recycling chutes? Are they being designed and equipped to handle recycling infrastructure? So it's kind of a work in progress. And from what I've seen, working with a couple of different cities for outreach, they do, like, city codes have helped and also made things kind of challenging to support diversion. So it's a lot of different factors, but there are a lot of minds working on creating a sustainable and easier, adoption of recycling and composting practices for multifamily units. I would say right now, we've been talking about this for a while, and right now I think our efforts are we're excited and kind of energized to look more towards the commercial customers in Bremerton right as of this summer and this fall. But it's always in the back of my mind every time, especially when we're going to present. I'm like, I really want to have something better to update on multifamily, but we are still working on finding a good solution.
Well,
And that just piqued my interest if there are partnerships or ways people have gotten it right. You know, I'm looking, Garrett's got his head down, but, oh, it's up now. But always looking for ways in which, what could the city's role be to, promote, to make it easier for people, you know, to require, I don't know. It's not, I'm not in that think tank,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think
but
if I could add to that, I have worked in this industry for 29 years, and the multifamily is the toughest nut to crack, so to speak. I have been in the field with property managers. I've worked with city staff. I've worked on grant programs to help build enclosures, to help place containers on properties that didn't have that. We've worked with one of our vendors to develop slotted lids to attach to containers with locks, so that there's just a smaller opening, so that you can only put in the actual recycled materials. I know Rihanna has set up, you know, in office areas and held pizza parties to try to get folks to come in and talk about recycling and how we can do things differently. I think some of the greatest advancements right now is in technology, and the technology on our trucks allows us, excuse me, to take photos and videos of the material as it's being dumped out of a container into a truck. So that is all being viewed so that we can provide feedback specifically, you know, to properties about, oh my gosh, you know, there's all this furniture, or, you know, all the materials that are ending up in a recycle container that don't belong there. And like Rianne said, it's just a constantly evolving situation. And sometimes the conversation is turning towards contamination charges to, and it's horrible to say that, but to impact, sometimes in the pocketbook, people sit up a little bit more and pay attention, and to somehow think about how do we create accountability to the many different people that are living in a multifamily situation, and getting a property manager to participate and also be engaged in what's happening at the property. And I know they have a million things, you know, that they're dealing with too. So yes, on our local level, we talk about it all the time, and we do share, you know, with across the country, different ideas. But I have to say, in the Pacific Northwest, we are a little more advanced than many other places in the country with recycling. So I don't have the golden answer, but
no, that's fine, Laura. I really appreciate it. And you
Mhm.
also triggered for me just a term you know, we've been talking about our landlord licensing here and there. And I think this might be another point to kind of address when we talk about all that later. I'm saying it to the collective we for council. So thank you both very much for the work that you do.
Denise, did you have any further questions?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Jeff, please go ahead.
Thanks. Keep it real quick. Thanks for the update. I think last year, or possibly the year before as well, we had asked of how much material that folks put in their recycling bins ends up being recycled. And I remember the answer was actually like a shockingly awesome number of 90%. Is that still about right?
Yeah, the material. So everything that a resident or a business puts in the recycling cart and is dumped into our truck ends up at JMK. And so it's a sorting facility that prepares those items for an end market. And I believe last year, what I refer to as the residue, or the material that's not accepted in any of those kind of markets, ends up back in the garbage. So it's a long trip to the landfill. And that number was right around 10%, I believe. And I think it's stayed there consistently. I've seen it go up a little bit, but that's only because we've had to remodel CRC. All of that material came down to JMK, so those numbers fluctuated a little bit as the volume of material came in, but it's still pretty good. Not a lot of complaints. We are by far probably one of the leaders in the country in that diversion and in that processing arena. There's many others that are running, what, 50% residue or residual out of their recycling.
No, that is just so fantastic, because I have seen, misinformation online and heard in person. Oh gosh, why should I recycle? It's just going to end up in the landfill anyway, or oh, not much will be taken. So that number, that 90%, it really does get recycled. I think just blasting that number is so valuable. So great to hear. And then the only other comment I had, and I mention this every year, I do my token young person on council, is just social media outreach. So I know, like Waste Management, doing a quick check, they have a main Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Is there any work on informational videos or just quick posts that can be shared in the community, even if it's through the city or us or anything? Any work on the social media end?
Yeah, we actually do have a more local page. So I'm gonna just look at my website really quick, but I believe the
email it
platform
to us?
Oh, sorry.
Could you just email the link to us, please?
Yeah, we can do that.
Great.
Perfect. Great to hear.
Okay. Eric, did you have anything? Okay. Yeah, Garrett, please go ahead.
Just wanted to note that regulation of garbage and refuse is regulated by Chapter 6.04, including the diversion of recyclable. It's not a land use issue, but I'm assuming you work with the attorney's office.
And just for the public, Mr. Jackson is talking about BMC 6.04, which regulates the disposal of refuse.
And I want to apologize, Garrett, because you were helping someone else with that kind of information when you were looking down earlier, and I
need to apologize. Thank you.
So this has been an issue of great concern to me, like in 2019, in 2020, in 2021, 2022, 2023, and it's still an issue of concern to me. I began working with what was then poetically called garbage in New York City when I was in graduate school at NYU, when recycling was just beginning in New York City, which, as you know, many multifamily units. I then also worked with City of Seattle on their 5-year waste management plan. And it's been something that I have been working on since, 1989. I guess I'd like to ask first, you cited that the cart tagging has been proven in many studies to be more effective than mailing alone. And yet these stats have remained steady over the past, 5-6 years? So I just wondered if perhaps you might want to try something else that might work in Bremerton.
I was just going to say, I think sometimes, like the mandatory side, I mean, I know you have mandatory garbage, excuse me, and the recycling is with the residential. Right now, the organics is subscription. It's an add-on. It's something customers have to pay more for. Sometimes moving, towards mandatory services will impact that diversion or people using it. I don't know, Rianne, were you going to say something else too?
I was going to say something similar, actually. Yeah, like in some of the cities that have higher diversion rates, there is either embedded costs for recycling and garbage for multifamily properties, specifically as a city code, and some other kinds of actions that could be taken at a very high level to enforce and open up those opportunities as well for more recycling participation. What else was I going to say? Cart tagging is effective, and we do try to change our educational message around that as well every year. But last year we did composting. The year prior we did recycling. I think the year prior it was also recycling related, or maybe how to recycle items that are hazardous. And so it was kind of like a different message, but it was just to residential. So cart tagging is not easily replicable with multifamily, but it could be more possibly more replicable within commercial.
Well, since you have less than 5,000 tons coming into the multifamily waste stream, compared to, I don't know, lots, in the residential waste stream, I can see why that wouldn't be quite so big a deal. Am I correct on that? I'm sorry, I'm staring straight into the sun. So we've got about 4,500 tons coming out of multifamily. So, okay, so staring into the sun, not helpful. Thank you, Jeff. Which is more than residential. So I agree with Councilor Fry, with Denise, that this would be a really great area to focus on. I love seeing you guys at the farmers market, but it's been my experience that people who attend the farmers market or who have stands at the farmers market are very familiar with how to sort their recycling and deeply committed to it. So I was wondering if perhaps you might find some other function where people who are less experienced in it and who are steeped in cynicism, as Councilor Coughlin mentioned, of like, why should I bother? None of that stuff gets recycled. I think that I was wondering if you might consider changing up in 2024 to focus more on multifamily and those members of the population who are failing to recycle. And I'm going to stop talking because this was supposed to be a 20-minute thing, but I personally am totally fine with like assessing fines for people who repeatedly, and I'm not speaking for the whole council, people who repeatedly contaminate the waste stream, even once they've understood it, what they can and can't do. So, that's it. I'm going to stop talking. It's something I can do. Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate particularly the time that you took to answer all of these questions very patiently.
Certainly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone have further? Oh, is Michael?
I'm watching for hands, no hands.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Anybody else? All right. Go forth and reduce waste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and have a nice evening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Melinda. Did you have anything further to add?
The only item I would just probably bring to your to mind is that we are still in the middle, I would say nearing the end of the solid waste advisory committee and our update, our 5-year plan. We do partner, our regional cities here, we partner with Kitsap County. We're part of that advisory committee, the SWAC committee. We meet quarterly. And so we also have a 5-year plan, and that is nearing its end.
Okay.
Expect a 4th quarter update for you on that. Very close to that, and so might be something you'd be interested in.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I at least will be really fascinated to read it when it arrives. Okay. Thank you. Perhaps Melinda Monroe would like to do. We're going to welcome you here to present item 3, a status update on the DEI position. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so this is real brief. We've received in our proposals. We've given those our copy review, internally, initial scoring, and now we're in the middle of sending that out to our community stakeholder groups, setting up those meetings. We expect those to conclude within the next, say, 2 to 3 weeks. There are several people from that group, so we're just working through calendars. And that will be the last step. That essentially would lead us to maybe some brief interviews and an award. So that's what I have for you tonight.
That was delightfully brief. Council, do you have any questions?
Thanks for update.
Thank you for the update.
Yep.
Safe travels. Okay, we're moving on to B, action on agenda bill items. And just a reminder that since council action is anticipated on item B1 through item B4, public comment will be taken for each of the next 4 items prior to the council vote. And I'm just going to double back really quickly and say a sentence that I skipped at the beginning of the script. I am chairing the study session in the absence of Council President Jennifer Chamberlain. Council Member Jane Rebelowski is also absent, and as you have seen, Council Member Michael Goodnow is participating remotely. I'd like to welcome, returning to B1, I'd like to welcome Public Works Project Manager Katie Ketterer, who will be discussing the local agency contract with Active Construction, Inc. for the Quincy Square project. Welcome, Katie.
Good evening. That last item went so fast that I need just a moment. I'm so sorry.
Does council want to take a 25-minute break?
Although I did bag of chips.
There you go.
There you go, yeah.
Give us a report on what else is over there.
Also about this.
Many, many chips.
What do you want? Microphones will probably not appreciate it.
No, well, hey. You guys keep thinking about hurting microphone's feelings. Many chips. You need another minute, Katie?
I did, yes.
Yes. Or food. Thanks, staff, for bringing food.
Smart idea. Bananas very quiet.
They are
Bananas very quiet.
mashed potatoes.
There's chips.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
So item B1 is the local agency contract with Active Construction for the Quincy Square project. So very exciting. May 16th, we received 3 bids for construction of the Quincy Square project. And we determined that Active Construction was the lowest responsible bidder. Their total bid for the base bid plus a bid alternative was $4,061,061, including sales tax. And we are recommending the award of the Quincy Square project to Active Construction. So included in your packet is the local agency contract, the bid tabulation, and the site plan. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much for assuming we have read it.
Yeah.
Council, do you have any questions? Yeah, please go ahead.
Order,
Jeff.
I think public comment first and then motion.
Oh, bit of bang.
Yeah.
I'm really not used to doing action items at study session. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
I'm not seeing any raised hands on Zoom.
Seeing none, we will next go to the council for a motion. Surprise me. Yeah, Jeff.
I will move to award contract with Active Construction, Inc. for the Quincy Square project in the amount of $4,061,061 and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
I'll
Good.
second it.
Thank you, Denise. Any discussion, Jeff?
Yeah, keep it quick. Fantastic news. Really awesome to see this come in budget, and this is the same company that is doing the Washington and 11th work, if I understand correctly.
That's correct, yeah.
Perfect. I know they've been doing a great job on that project, so great to see. Mainly two questions. I mean, it's not quite relevant, but just since the questions are starting to percolate, you've already been working on it. Can you talk a bit about how the communication has already been happening and will happen with businesses regarding any closures and impacts, and just any support for the businesses along Fourth in general from the city or by the construction company?
Yeah.
You mean during the construction period?
Yes, during
Okay.
construction. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have been in contact with the businesses along 4th Street. We've had several business meetings. One of the items that we have kind of knocked out with Melinda's help is a plan for parking, because the street will be closed. It'll be open for pedestrians, but of course there will be a little bit of parking that's displaced. And so we worked out a parking plan to provide some free 2-hour parking in the Washington Avenue garage. And so we've got that program worked out and communicated out to the businesses. Also working with the Downtown Business Association, they've stepped up, and they've done some posters for the businesses to kind of help promote that the businesses are going to be staying open. We'll also have a lot of signage. We'll have like extra guidance for high traffic evenings like First Fridays and things like that, to make sure that people know how to get around. Yeah, so we're just trying to do as much as we can to support those businesses while it's under construction.
Excellent. I slip up sometimes at the Downtown Bremerton Association instead of business.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I got
Just businesses anymore.
All of Bremerton.
Yeah.
Which I should mention, there is also the B flat apartments there too as well. So not just the.
Yeah. That's true.
No, just thank you for your efforts there, and we'll keep working to minimize the construction impact. This is great news.
Yeah, anybody else?
Excited.
Eric? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Katie, maybe you said it during your introduction of the agenda bill item. When is the work gonna start? I assume after this is awarded.
May?
And then when is it gonna complete? I just don't see that in the document, when it's gonna actually be complete.
Yeah. So we should be starting construction imminently now that we're awarding this contract. It'll still take a few weeks to get the contract executed and their bonds in place and pre-construction meeting done and all of that stuff. There's some materials to procure, so we'll need to work with the construction company and making sure that that part of the schedule is all worked out. So I expect that they'll begin construction sometime in mid-July.
So
then,
hard to say.
It is. Yeah, I would have hedged my bets a little bit. And then they have 85 days, working days to complete the construction.
Wow.
So it's pretty short.
Yeah.
That's about.
It'll be done by this fall.
There are, we do have, there are challenges getting materials that is continuing to happen. So we're going to do our best to work through that and to keep that construction period as tight as possible.
The only thing that I would say is I would imagine that Councilor Goodnow might want
His
to
hand is
say
way
something.
raised.
Oh, good, because Michael, man, you must feel great about this coming to fruition, my friend. I hope you are anyway. You've played a mighty role in getting this as far as it's gone.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, hi, I join you live from Quincy Square. Staff was out sick, so I have a volunteer running the theater, but I'm just here to make sure everything they're not ready to run the whole show on their own. Yeah, I'm super excited. This this started because they wanted to cut down trees, and then they wanted to save the trees, and then really Steve Rice came up with the idea to add housing down here, and that transitioned to creating a plaza, and then it was like, well, Quincy Jones, and it's just really, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. So it's super exciting. One of the things I've harped on before, and I even have been in communication with Katie about this too, but just kind of want to say to my fellow council members and stuff, but I just want to make sure we're reusing any asset that's down here, whether it be shrubs in the big city planters, reusing the planters, reusing the benches, the table and chair. I saw Jeff having lunch over there at those the tables and chairs that are bolted down. Katie and I have been talking about the chamber, who's been maintaining the kiosk on 4th Street, has an interest in actually refurbishing it for the city and having it placed elsewhere. If we can maybe get it down on the boardwalk or down by the space formerly known as Starbucks. Anyways, I just want to make sure that, and then kind of piggybacking on my neighbor executive director, Jeff, is that I also just want to make sure that we're ready to be a little responsive. So if whatever we're planning to do to help the businesses down here, encourage people in, it has to be probably big, colorful things on the street that say, come on, whatever. And there has to be information that lets people know where the parking can be found. It was great that we have it and we can share that. But if someone's, not doing that much research before they come down here, we just have to really be out there, and we need to be able to turn around and do something else to remedy it. And we've had enough times where we've done this and it's not gone well, that hopefully we've learned a lot. And by bringing this up all the time, we can do better taking care of the businesses that are down here. Anyways, I'm super excited. Katie, thank you so much for all your hard work on this. I really, actually, I'm almost, goosebumpy, a little emotional that we're really at this point tonight. So thank you for the presentation, all your hard work, and everybody who's helped and everybody who's been involved in that. So, all right, I think I've said enough.
Denise, did you have anything more?
No.
Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
Quick follow-up of Eric. I realized, so 85 working days. Do we know what the working days are? I mean, that's not 7 days a week, right? They're taking off a day.
Right, yeah. So at this point, I don't know if they might work 10-hour days, and so they work 4 days a week.
Okay.
Most likely they'll work 5 days a week. Regular.
Okay, you'll probably get the contractor's proposed schedule at the reconstruction.
That's right.
Okay. I'm realizing somebody the other day mentioned Public Works, who talked about it, basically 4 months. And then I think they cited that 80-something day number, and they're like, wait a minute, I thought it was going to be 3. So I think I'm realizing now there might be a small disconnect in the community down there on the exact length. So I think that's why working days versus calendar days.
Mm-hmm.
So just wanted to say that out loud, so we know once the contract's all signed, we'll figure it out. But perfect.
Info.
Okay, anybody else?
Just a quick comment.
Yeah, Eric.
So Katie, you've been involved with this for many years now.
Yes.
And it has to be quite a relief to finally get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Thank you.
And are you going to remain the city's project manager on this all the way through the end?
All the way through the end of construction, absolutely. Like I am, at this point, I've spent a lot of time on this, and I'm not giving it up to anybody else. Like I want to make sure that it's
somehow, and I know this is not like we should do this, but I know you put so much work.
Yeah.
Somehow, it is the Quincy Square. It is named after Quincy Jones. But somewhere we should have a little plaque that says project manager. Or this was carried through by, you know what I'm saying, Tom? I don't know. I don't want to set precedent or anything, but I just think we should recognize all the work you've done on this. I mean, this has been I assume a lion's share of a big. I mean, you also did joint compatibility. I don't want to just say that's all you've been doing, but wow, this is a huge project. I know you put a lot of work. Thank you.
thanks very much for that.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Katie. I'm really glad that the light at the tunnel is like really bright at this point. One thing, just to echo what Michael said, you know how Nicotai does those like weekly postings that like are sent out to everybody concerned and posted on the website? Because this area is so, oh my gosh, it's working right now, hooray. I hope that Public Works can do that for this. And everybody at this table and in most of the world understands that construction is not going to go perfectly. So just like to have weekly updates so people know where to, you know, which side to walk on, or like where, when you have to, you know, just like really circle around.
Yes.
And
Hope to.
my second and final comment is I was so happy to see in this the incorporation of the festival street, the pedestrian only festival street, as something that can be converted. And it's just such a sensible, commonsensical way to explain it. It's like, we are not imposing a festival street that is closed to cars upon you. And it's also, but it's also like going, sometimes you just want to have a party. You roll up the rugs. Thank you again for all your work on this. Okay, anybody else before we move on to the next thing?
We got
Need to
to
vote.
Okay,
call for the question.
yeah. Oh,
I'll let you say that.
thank you. I'm really not doing well with this action item thing, but I promise to get better. Okay, seeing no further discussion. Pardon me. Let's vote on this item.
Councilmember Fry,
Yes.
Coughlin,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Younger,
Yes.
Mochler.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Would you like me to read the next item? Public
Works Project Manager, Katie Ketterer, item B2.
B2.
Yeah. I'll stop coughing and I think I'll do okay. The contract modification agreement number 6 with Rice Fergus Miller Inc. for the Quincy Square project. Please go ahead.
Yes, so we have a small contract amendment with Rice Fergus Miller. They were the designers for Quincy Square, and we would need to allocate a little bit more budget to that contract so that we can get through the construction period. This allows Rice Fergus Miller and Parametrics and the landscape designer Emily Russell to be available to us when we have any issues that arise that need their attention, any small, redesigns, come down to the site, take a look at something, that kind of thing. So these are basically on-call services at this point with this re-up our contract. And the amendment amount is $42,238.90.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Not seeing any hands.
Seeing none, we will next go to the council for a motion. Yeah, Denise, and sorry.
I move to approve contract modification agreement number 6 with Rice Fergus Miller Incorporated for the Quincy Square project and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Denise, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have a question about why you might need this. But I'm going to make the assumption it's like white glove treatment. You've got the principals involved if you need them. Is that what the case is? With somebody like an Emily Russell or?
And more of it, because they're the designers of record.
Right.
If there's something that comes up with the engineering design or the structural design, they need to be the ones that come in and maybe reinterpret their plans or let us understand the intent. because they're the ones who did the design.
I gotcha. Totally get it. Thank you. All I have.
Okay, Eric?
Makes complete sense. Sometimes there's a disconnect between the architect and the builder.
Yes.
Right? We've all been through those projects and the builder's going, what the is this
Yeah.
guy thinking? And so you need to have the design firm there to answer what they were thinking. So, yep.
And it's a short commute. Jeff?
Good questions.
Okay. Michael? Okay. Okay. I agree with everything that has been said. Seeing no further discussion, let us vote upon this item.
Councilmember Coughlin,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler, or sorry, Younger,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Mochler.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
thank you. Okay. And now, for a complete change of pace, Public Works Project Manager Katie Ketterer is here to present item B3, the goods and services agreement with Studio Folia for design, fabrication, and installation of sculpture for the Quincy Square project.
See if I can get this to presentation mode.
So
There we go. All right, so this one I do have a short presentation for you just because I'm excited about it and I want to give you a little bit more detail, especially about the process that we went through to get here. So the item before you is the contract to work for the sculpture. It's a goods and services contract with Studio Folia for the sculpture. The value of it is $180,910. The sculpture itself gets fabricated off-site this year while construction is going on here in town. And then they will ship it in and install it towards the end of the construction period. This graphic here is a plan view that shows basically the location of the sculpture on the street. So we're looking at this, the intersection there at the street on the south side of the street, here, just a little bit east of the Pacific Avenue. And it's kind of a woven bronze sculpture that a bust of Quincy Jones face. So to talk a little bit about the artist search process that we went into, and I'm going to talk about, we're talking about the item here is the sculpture, but I'm also kind of talking about what we went through for the mural artist as well. The value of that contract is below the threshold, so it won't come to council. But we went through the same process basically for both of these artist searches. So Arts Commission created 2 committees to lead the artist search and the selection. And that was about almost 2 years ago now. So they worked a really long time. The committees determined the goals and the theme for the artwork, and then helped craft the call to artists. That call to artists was advertised in October 2023. And we hosted it on a national site called Cafe. And then we didn't advertise it nationally. We advertised it locally. So we advertised it in Kitsap Sun and through Washington arts organizations with the help of the Arts Commission, as well as like the NAACP, and some of those types of organizations. So finalists, the committee, they actually went through all of these artist qualifications, and we had a lot, especially for the mural. I think it was like 30 for the sculpture and like 50 for the mural. It was a bunch. So they went through all these artist qualifications and selected our finalists. The finalists were invited to submit comments for the actual artwork to us. And so there were 5 sculpture finalists and there were 8 mural finalists. The committees reviewed those submissions, and they selected the final artist. So Studio Folia was the winner for the sculpture. And this really represented just an incredible amount of work. Thank you, Councilmember Younger, for recognizing my personal contribution to this project, but I would never want my name on it because this means so much more to me. Like the amount of community input that we've gotten on this project is just mind-blowing. I mean, these people probably put in like 40 hours of volunteer work just on this committee. It's on the time. So I wanted to take a second to recognize those folks on the sculpture committee: Marie Whiteman and Roosevelt Smith, McKinney Avery, Harriet Bryant, Julie Cooper, Becky Feather, Lynn Horton, Kelly Jemison, Lindley Logan, and Deborah Moore Jackson. And while I have you, I'm also going to recognize the folks that were on the mural committee. This is a picture of the artist rendering for the mural. So it was Roosevelt Smith and Marie Whiteman from the Arts Commission, Nancy Bellinger, Guyland Charles, Deanie Gray, Beth Javins, Marva Jones, Antoinette Mercado Lacambra, Jewel Shepard Sampson, Akuya Vargas, Gina Boladera, Jamal Williams, and Jennifer Yarbrough. So thank you so much to all those folks who did just an incredible job of selecting the artist. And I think I've heard a lot of great things about people who seem to be really pleased. That's my presentation, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Anybody on the?
Not seeing any hands again.
All right, seeing none, we will next go to the council for a motion. Yeah, Jeff?
I move to approve the agreement with Studio Folia for the Quincy Square sculpture and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
Would somebody like to second? Thank you, Denise. Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we are open for discussion.
Perfect. We'll extend my thanks again to you, Katie, for all the coordination here, but echo all the thanks for folks on Art Commission for that incredibly hard work. What an amount of due diligence on a project selection here. Just seeing the thoroughness and the multiple rounds and making sure it was advertised, locally as possible, but making sure we also did that national search to try and find the best sculpture we can. And I am not an artist. I am like far from it as possible. But to me, just seeing already the renderings and knowing kind of our existing metal statues and works downtown, it seems like it's gonna fit it in really awesomely. And what a great tribute. So that's all I got to say. Is just enormous amount of thanks to everyone involved. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, please go ahead, Denise.
I would just like to comment on the passion and dedication that you bring to your job.
Okay.
It's apparent in your presentation, the respect you have for the community members that you worked with. She pronounced those people's names better and more comfortably than I could. And I know many of them. It's wonderful. It's palpable. And I really, really appreciate that. So what an exciting project for you to be involved in. And that comes through. Glad to be a part of it.
Thank you, Denise. Yeah, Eric, go ahead.
So Katie, I understand I think I understand the process of selecting the artist and what the work is going to be. How was the price determined? Is it after the selection of the artwork, or is it the artist said, here's my artwork and this is what the cost is, and then the committee decided? How did that all work?
Mm-hmm. We actually gave them a budget up front and said, "But this is the budget that you have to work within."
Okay.
And then after the artist, the committee's selection, then I work directly with the artist on their budget and, making sure that you negotiate it, to make sure that that is all appropriate.
All right, so this is like a professional service agreement.
Yes.
Okay, that's how that worked. Okay. I was just curious on how that worked. And then the other thing, I see that the artist maintains the copyright, but the city can replicate the images because we're paying for this. That's fine. I think that's fine. I assume our attorneys looked over the contract. The I haven't seen. Yeah. I'll let you talk. I'll get back to the question.
Okay, we will circle back to you. Michael, do you have anything? No?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, defying protocol, I'll just ask a truly geeky question. I'm sorry, Katie. What happens to maintenance of this one-of-a-kind item?
So the artist will give us a maintenance plan. And it, we specified that it's an exterior, it has to be made for the Pacific Northwest. It has to be made to be an external, an outside sculpture. So they're using really durable bronze materials, tried and tested. They give us their maintenance plan, which really basically says like, this is, if something happens to it, this is how you clean it. This is what you need to do. And then the Arts Commission, they kind of take over the art at that point. It's that they take over the other pieces of art.
So if one of the tiles gets cracked or broken, someone on the Arts Commission will be working to get that replaced or repaired?
Yeah.
Okay. Eric, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It came back to me.
Good.
So when we, excuse me, don't eat Doritos during this time. When the council or the mayor proposed, the council approved the Quincy Square project, we reached out, or the administration reached out to Mr. Jones and asked for his permission and his blessing, and we got a letter back saying, yeah, I'm good. I'm not insisting that we do this for the arts projects, but was there any communication, or will there be any communication with Mr. Jones to say, do you like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Might be a good idea.
We did.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
already done that. I haven't heard. So Harriet Bryant has been kind of our conduit for that, and we sent a package of information with her a couple of weeks ago. A letter from the mayor, kind of explaining what we had done, giving an update on the whole project, and sent him these images, basically, that you all have seen, of these artworks. And we did actually extend an invitation for anyone from his team to work with us further on these. Particularly, there's a little bit more work to do with those tiles and selecting some images and things that go on the tiles. So we extended that invitation. I haven't heard anything back. I did check with Harriet Bryant late last week to see if she had heard anything. She hadn't heard anything yet. So the last time we sent some information a couple of years ago with the updated design and everything, and we actually got pictures back from the family, and it showed Quincy Jones. He was looking at our materials and stuff, so he had the hits in it, which was really cool.
Cool. I also find it fascinating. I don't know what the law is, but so you have an artist that owns the rights to the work, and we get to replicate it or whatever, but you have the actual subject of the art. What is his legal rights to that. That's not my deal. I'm sure our bright legal minds looking through all that. I don't, do you have any insight on that or?
As long as they choose an image that's like in the public realm.
Public domain.
Yes,
That's a
then,
public figure.
yeah.
Okay. Good. Exciting, 7 foot tall. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a big one.
Yeah, it's designed so that it's a photographic moment, that
Oh,
you can
yeah.
have with it. And
We used to call those Kodak moments.
And the location, if we go to the previous presentation, I'm looking at the map. Okay, so it'll be at the end of, towards Pacific Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the mural is on the parking garage.
that's right.
Well, that's appropriate. It's kind of bookended, right?
Yep.
One on each end. Should be pretty nice.
Great.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just a due diligence question on the location is if I look at say it out loud, if I look at the scale drawing here, it looks like there's about 8 feet between the building and the sculpture and then a couple feet on the other side. So obviously the thought was put into making sure it's in a location. So when we have throngs of people coming flocking to Quincy Square, there's enough room to get by the statue.
Yes, we gave the in our call to artists, we gave a very, very specific parameters. Like, this is how much space you have. And we made it like an actual, box. This is how tall it could be, this is how wide it could be, so that it fit appropriately within the streetscape.
Okay, any further questions? Even though public comment is over, Judge Flood has raised her hand. I hope everybody is okay with us recognizing Judge Flood.
Sure.
Accepted. Great. Excellent. Thank you. Judge Flood, please go ahead. You're muted, Judge.
Thank you for allowing me to make comment. I did not hear when you said public comment, so my apologies there. And what I wanted to say is thank you, Ms. Katie. I have been a part of this project prior to becoming judge for the Bremerton Municipal Court when Mayor Patty Lent originally originated the idea and being a signer on the original letter representing the NAACP at the time. And Katie has done a wonderful job, as everyone has noted. The only question I have, and I believe Councilmember Younger brought it up, was the point of contact had been Harriet and myself with Quincy Jones's brother, Justice Jones. I was wanting to make sure that you actually have in written or some communication that he does approve this. I know that's going to be very important to the family, that they approve the final imaging. So I do think that that is important to have. And then it's great to see the components coming together and then the next steps.
Thank you. I'll work on that.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, so I'm going to finish my comments. They're almost done. I'm just going to add my voice to the chorus of thank you. And I'm particularly happy about your insistence on acknowledging all of the volunteers who worked on this and who spent, tens of 40 hours of volunteer work.
At least.
Yeah, I mean, let's give them minimum wage of $20 an hour, and hey, you got real money. Thank you for noticing them and mentioning their names and mentioning their contribution. Thank you for mentioning the mural, which we would never have known about since it doesn't come before council. I'm very happy that this sculpture, unlike so many public pieces of art, contains places for people to sit. And I very much look forward to seeing this. And if we can't put up a plaque, we can get you a cupcake. Okay. Does anyone else have anything more on this one? Okay, seeing no further discussion, let us vote on this item.
Councilmember Goodnow,
Come back with a Shiva.
Goodnow,
Michael? All right, we have a quorum.
There he
There
is.
he is.
Sorry, I customer. So I actually missed but I heard, and then it took me a minute to find the mouse. Am I voting?
yes,
Yes.
thank you. Younger,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Coughlin,
Yes.
Mochler.
Yes,
Motion carries unanimously.
thank you.
Thanks.
This concludes the action item for tonight's meetings, and we will now continue with the regular study session for the remainder of the evening.
There's
Just
There's
point
one
of
more.
order. There's one more item.
oh, I thought Mr. Davis's was on the next thing, because I was just gonna go, yes. Bill, Engineering Project Manager Bill Davis is here to present item 4, agreement with Markley's Precision Company for Reservoir 17, interior coating replacement period. Take it away, Bill.
Good evening, Bremerton City-Council. We coat at least one reservoir, one of our potable water reservoirs every year, interior or exterior. And, you know, we use a combination of coatings, cleanings, and cathodic protection to maintain them. We do them every 20 to 25 years on the cycle. And this particular one hasn't been coated in 27 years, so it's done. So we'll be blasting the interior, putting a 3-coat epoxy system, and we've hired a special inspector with 30 years of experience to make sure that we're doing a good job. So we put it out to bid. We received 2 bids. The low bidder was under our estimate, and we checked the references because we haven't worked with them before, and they checked out. So project is funded in the 2024 water budget.
Excellent. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Going twice. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
No hands.
Seeing none, we will next go to the council for a motion. Denise,
I move to award the contract for the Reservoir 17 interior coating replacement project to Markley's Precision Company in the amount of $387,938.46, including sales tax, and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
Second.
thank you. We have a motion and a second. We are open for discussion.
It came through Public Works Committee. I think that's the only thing.
Yeah, Eric, go ahead.
Okay, you guys can cut me off if you want, but Bill, I've had this discussion with you before. And just give me a rough idea of how big this reservoir is. If don't want to do 5 times 3, whatever.
It's
Okay.
about 95 feet diameter and 20 feet.
22 high, 95 feet diameter. Because and how much does the new one cost?
$3 to $4 million.
$3-4 million. So we recoat them once every 25 years. Did we ever look into what it costs of a stainless steel reservoir would cost? Would that be like 10 times the cost of a regular one, or
I think it would be significantly more
A lot higher.
expensive.
just seems like a heck of a lot of money?
So these modern coating systems, you know, when we put them on in the past, they would last 20 to 25 years, but this one could last 50 because we also have cathodic protection installed, which will, you know, that metal will corrode before the inside of the reservoir will. So these modern coatings are equally superior.
They don't, it's not industry practice at all. They have stainless steel reservoirs.
I've never heard of it.
I've seen them in the winery, brewery, but that would be much smaller vessel. Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me go that way. No question.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
Echoing through Public Works, I did want to highlight though, the engineer estimate was 100,000 and this bid came in at 300, just shy of 388,000. So Nice
Yeah.
to be over 120,000 below.
Yeah, we're really happy about that. I think it's a new company we haven't worked with. They're from Ohio and they want to kind of get into the Washington market. But they do check out. So
Nice little cost savings there from budget.
Michael, any questions?
No hands.
Thank you, Bill. Oh, you had a, no, okay. Thank you, Bill, for recoding the reservoir and for waiting very patiently for an hour and 45 minutes to to have us vote on the recoding of this million gallon reservoir. Okay, seeing no further discussion, seeing none, let us vote on this item. Let this man go.
Councilmember Younger,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Coughlin,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
you, Mochler.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. All right. This actually concludes the action items for tonight's meeting, and we will now continue with the regular study session for the remainder of the evening. Just a reminder that for items C1 and C2, the content of the agenda bills is subject to change. No public comments will be taken. No action is anticipated, and if approved by the council, will be placed on the June 26th, 2024 agenda for action. At this time, it is 6:48. We're taking a 6-minute break. Okay, so we will return, hang on. My type is too, at 6:53. Okay, wait.
like to get one free.
No, even though I was around a lot, I always used this for me.
Also, it did end up being 246 and not 256.
Okay, so we'll do that in a second. You're gonna, he can do it. Talk through it. And then bring that up as, basically to pick the small cups, the bigger cups, that we use most for farming. We'll just fill one with ice and then fill it. So it's really full of ice. It's just one ingredient. Oh, it is ingredient. Does she look, she can't see? Yeah. Exploring her words and stack. Little loud. So glad to read the bright green. But they haven't. Like not going into a frame, but like a quarter inch. Yeah. Other things. Size of that smart water.
I call the meeting of this June 12th 2024 study session back to order at 6:54. Okay, welcome Managing Engineer Gunnar Fredrickson, here to present item C1, the proposed public hearing and the resolution to adopt the 2025-2030 six-year transportation improvement program.
Yeah, good evening, counselors. This one's a hard one to chase after Katie's presentations. This one's kind of a housekeeping thing and it's a little boring, but state law requires the annual adoption of a six-year transportation improvement plan after a public hearing in accordance with the RCWs. And we have to file that plan, excuse me, with the Secretary of Transportation no more than 30 days after adoption. If you could. Yep. We've done a few changes this year, from last year. What we did is when we went through this list, we went ahead and removed projects that have been completed out of tier 1. We also went through tier 3 and removed projects not in the city limits, or they're going to be delivered by WASDOT or a developer or something else. Didn't make a lot of sense for it to live on our documents. We also went ahead and cleaned up tier 3 a little bit. It was a bit of a catch-all for many years. Somewhat similar to what Kitsap County does. What we did was we created a tier 4, moved a lot of those projects out of there so that we had a more robust list that we think we could do in 6 years. And then we went ahead and reviewed the sub-area plans and our other planning documents like ACTP, the SR 303, the Charleston, and put those into the tiers as well. And we'll go through a little bit of that here. Our next steps on this, and this is kind of an interim step this year, because what we're working on with the comprehensive plan with our transportation element update, we're working on a prioritization matrix, and we want to use that on the concurrency projects that are coming out of that. And those same concurrency projects will be included into these tiers for next year, along with the whatever comes out of the active transportation plan. So both of those will be adding projects into this plan, and we want to do a more detailed scoping and cost estimate along with that prioritization. We're hoping to have that prioritization matrix done this year, again, with currency plans and the projects there, and then move forward with that for next year. And with that, if you can pull up the tier 1 through 3. So tier 1 through 3 might be a little bit, like I said, we took projects off of there that were pretty much completed. And so everything on here is the active projects that we've got that are fully funded. Tier 2 is the partially funded projects. Some of these you'll be a little bit surprised at, like Parish Creek. We just received word that we've been awarded that money. It's actually a culvert project, but because the funding is through WASDOT, we have to have it in our TIP. It's a requirement. But we haven't actually gotten the award money yet. So it stays in tier 2 until we get the award money, then it moves to tier 1. Same with, you might notice, the Warren Avenue Bridge, because we've got a budget shortfall right now. It stays in tier 2. It's not fully funded. Once we get that, it moves up to tier 1 as well. Same with the 3 11th Street projects down in tier 3. We know KRCC countywide, we're on the list, but we haven't been approved yet. So as soon as we get that, they'll move up to tier 2. And I don't know if you've got any questions on those, if, on any other projects on those lists, but I'm more than happy to take them. And then, Mike, you can show tier 4, please.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation for now, Greg?
No, I was going to bring up tier 4.
Okay. Whoosh. Still not working.
And on this, I just wanted to point out what we have here is the list up above, which has got a lot of the projects we moved down from tier 3. And then you'll see down below this is where we've got the sub-area plans, and we tried to identify those projects out of those sub-area plans and other planning documents so that they're all here in tier 4. So when we go next year to select, we can pull these projects up to tier 3 as projects move up, we'll move these up as well. And with that, pretty much the presentation, and I'll take any questions.
Excuse me 1 second there.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Mike, before I call on you, Eric, in the absence of the committee, Public Works Committee Chair, I'm going to ask the Public Works Vice Chair, was this item discussed? That's you, Jeff.
Okay.
No,
Like you have a vice either way.
I know Jeff is the
I guess,
best.
all right, I'll take it. Yeah, so we discussed it at length, and I can give more. Well, I'll just say,
please provide recommendations or mention any outstanding issues.
Yes, we not only discussed it at length, a big thanks to the Government of Public Works for giving us the draft, in which case we were individually able to give comments and feedback on, which was incorporated over the course of, I think, 2 total Public Works meetings. So we had, I think, really excellent iterations on it. I'm happy with it. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Eric, go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, Gunner, Warner Road, how much of that has been funded since it's tier 2? It's been partially funded.
That one there is showing, we have, in the out years, 2027.
So when you say funded, you're saying like allocated within our forecasted
Correct.
budget. And so the 7 million is, I would assume, a pie in the sky part that's unfunded because we don't have 7 million in stacks laying around. So,
Right.
but the others we anticipate the 350 and the 350 being fundable.
Yeah.
Right. And that I assume it would be design work.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking it was grant money. It's like, oh, what part is that? It's not.
Okay. Garrett, you have a question? Or Shane, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna tag along just to that. We received some developer participation.
Can you come on up to the microphone, please? No worries.
So for that project, the reason why it's on there is partially funded is because we received some developer participation funds for development going up on the hill. And so that's why we have that as partially funded.
Oh, so you're talking about the housing development that was built
Correct.
several years ago? They had to contribute for infrastructure and all that
Yes.
stuff. So that's
Yes.
where some of the money.
And that's where the money is coming from on there and why it's partially funded. And I think it was about $300,000, maybe just a little bit more than that.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. But let's just make sure we go around once before we come back to you, Jeff. Michael, do you have any questions?
I'm actually good right now. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, I forgot to add, just to explain like some small iterations we had is really looking forward to the prioritization of next year. But thanks for adding back in the or for putting on tier 3 the enhanced Callow Avenue streetscape project, because I know that's one folks down there have been really clamoring for. Not that we're going to get funding over the next year for it, but just to keep it on the radar and keep it as a priority as a city. And then as well, one of the other items we discussed were the connectors for Warren Avenue Bridge, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that is incorporated under TR 27.
There's a few.
Oh, no, sorry. Thank you. That's right. They're broken out. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
161.
161 and 161 is east-west crossing, and then
It's like 108 active transportation facility shared into Warren Avenue Bridge. That's probably the connector.
yes, there we go. Thank you. Under SR 3 study. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I just wanted to highlight that before I forgot. That's it.
Okay. Does any other member of the council? It's much simpler when there's only 4 of us.
Michael.
Well, he already has, he's good.
I'm still good.
He has muted himself. Okay, since I did not participate in any of the public works, some of these questions will be duplicative. I'm sorry, Gunnar. What's our city match on the SR 303 adaptive signals? That's a PSRC grant, right?
That is a BSRC grant, and I don't have it all. I have to take a look at the financial summaries for those.
Would you be able to have that before the public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be great. My next question is on 750K going forward on streets preservation and maintenance, 300K going forward on signage and pavement marking maintenance. 500K going forward on sidewalk program. 105K for city street lighting. These are essentially the same figures that you gave us in 2022 and 2023. And we keep hearing about how all costs have gone up. So under the current sidewalk program, are you still able to create 2,000 linear feet per year of sidewalk?
That would be actually a better question for Ron Moore. We've programmed these amounts. We haven't changed them. If that's something that council would like to do, to be able to open them, I'm pretty sure our operations staff would love that.
I have been hearing calls from constituents and from this council, and perhaps I'm, just hearing what I want to hear, which is why I'm checking with you. But I think increasing the amount of money for normal maintenance and the beautification and increased pedestrian accessibility for our city. Yeah, but I'm just saying that I'm sorry, Tom.
So those are, all of those that you discussed, those are all the programmatic, that's the programmatic work that's delivered by Streets. Ron Moore's our new manager. He will probably have some thoughts on that as we are developing the next two-year budget. And you always got to remember that it's a balancing act between dollars and labor hours. And so we're able to work within those budgets. But I can tell you that for last year, they spent, matter of fact, I think they overspent the ops budget by about $20,000. Just barely over, but we're spending every dollar we have right now.
I'm sorry. I had an argument with a BlackBerry earlier. I lost. Okay. Council, is this something you would like to discuss during the? Or do we have discussion after the public hearing or before the public hearing? At the next council meeting? Will be discussed as part of the vote.
Right.
Okay. So is this something that you would be interested in discussing at that time, or would you prefer to wait until budget season?
Budget personally, but
Just a comment. I mean, we try to keep the tip and the street CIP with the same numbers, but they don't have. Right. So I guess all for that.
Yeah, Eric, please go ahead.
You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was just building on what Tom said. I don't think it's critical what the dollar amount is in the schedules. What's critical is that you have them listed in tier 1, tier 2 for the projects, whatever. It's just semantics, whether it says 750 and there are $1 million. The bottom line is you have to have it in your budget to spend money. So to me, it doesn't matter other than council would like you to. I don't think it needs to be amended for next week or whenever, not next week, the weekend.
Well, it's 2 weeks out.
I do think that we could discuss it when we do the mid-year.
Budget adjustment? When is that? When will we be doing that?
We're going into budget.
Yeah, the end of budget.
We're going to end of budget.
That's the mid-season?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
25, 26.
Yeah.
I propose to discuss that because the money that goes to streets isn't available to parks, to fire, and it's all once.
Right. Okay.
We do get a chance too. I mean, this is yearly, so we'll be doing this again. Hopefully we'll get a little earlier start next year, so we'll get you involved a little bit earlier in this process.
We are always intending to get a better, earlier start. So thank you very much. I guess my other question, and I'm looking forward to hearing the city match figures on the adaptive signals, is safe routes to schools. Most of them are phase 2, are in tier 4. Is there reason that they didn't even make it to tier 3?
We talked with the school district to find out what their priorities are, and they really are excited. They've got some improvements going on.
Yeah.
So that's the project that they really wanted us to concentrate on.
Okay.
So that's the one we're going to be looking at and trying to get some work done. We've also had Catalyst School come in. And of course, they're a public, they're charter, but they're a public school. And they are eligible for SRTS funds as well. So we have them on the list too.
Okay, and just mentioning the fact, I don't know if it's appropriate at this time, that I met with James Crawford, and he was saying that some of the SRTS safe routes to schools that are planned aren't taking into account, I think you've already answered this, aren't taking into account the proposed reconstruction and replacement of school buildings. So,
We're all aware.
okay.
Nick is
Okay.
very
Well,
much.
yeah, as I said, since I wasn't in Public Works, I knew I'd be asking things that you guys were already on top of. Okay, just gonna make a really small whimpering sound about how far down Crown Hills Elementary is in my district. Okay, is there anywhere in here for traffic calming under some other name? That's my last question.
That is typically, we'll do that under the city safety improvement, literally 066.
Okay, so that's $160,000 a year. Okay, and
Yeah.
so just before I let you go, virtually 1, 2, 3, 4, the top 6 in tier 1, those are all programmatic.
That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions. A public hearing is required for this item. So that will be on 26th June. Okay, until then.
And I'll go ahead and just have the same presentation for the public hearing, and then I'll make sure I have your questions ready.
Thank you, Connor.
Thank you, Connor.
Okay, safe home. Okay, in the moving on to C2, in the absence of President Chamberlain, I'm going to present this item. A proposed resolution to show support for raising the Pride commemorative flag at the Norm Dix Government Center and throughout Bremerton in support of the LGBTQ plus community. Okay.
Council, Vice President, I can answer some questions too, because I have.
Okay, great. Well, step up to the plate, attorney.
Michael Goodnow helped as well, so he's still around with us. We can talk about it.
There is.
Alrighty then.
And so, as you know, we are in a condominium right now, and the condominium has a board, and the condominium board controls the common areas. And in this case, the flagpoles are the relevant part. And so the resolution is support for the condominium association to take action to raise the pride flag at the government center. And I wrote it in a way that it's enduring, in that that is the resolution not just for this year, but also carrying forward for next year. And then Michael and I talked about the dates, and these were some options, right? So Pride is celebrated globally in June. However, there's some significant dates in the celebration of Pride in Kitsap County is also with the anniversary of the Stonewall riot. And so another date, I guess, range that's put in there is June 28th through the end of the third weekend in July, which is when Pride is celebrated in Kitsap. And so it was drafted to acknowledge both of those dates kind of as an either or and maybe flexibility. So I guess they could do something one year and something else, but just that there was council support for them to take that action. And then Council President Chamberlain also wanted language in there, and just generally with encouragement for the community as a whole to participate and feel the support of the council in doing so. Certainly seen a lot of our community doing that without the resolution, but that's in there. And so I will say that I think the board is already aware. It's in there that we would forward it to them. I don't think that it's a secret that the council would, like them to take this action. It was discussed at a previous study session, and Mike Riley's already communicated that this council's been having this discussion to them, and so that's what I know about the resolution.
Yeah, Denise, go ahead.
Is there enough time to get condo association approval and all
I don't
that good
know.
stuff?
I don't know really what's on there.
Like, how big is this?
Yeah, so we have it on the agenda for tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
One of the issues is that what we call the representative in our meeting. So our proposal would be, we want to bring a special meeting back, when we're back in town. So, just trying to work through that.
Wow.
Doesn't
Okay.
have an alternate? Pardon me? The kids have public,
So I heard your question, they do have an alternate, but I don't know, as for the materials we provided for request, we indefinitely want to vote on that item, we don't know, so I haven't got an answer on that. They could, it's just vote.
Right, and so they can certainly take this action, frankly, without the council having this resolution. We were putting it together, it's just more of a public show of support. It doesn't.
I'm very supportive of this.
Oh.
Yeah, you're not questioning it at all. Are we prepared, if our flag that we fly is damaged by someone we're gonna know what to do and say if something like that happens? You're gonna be on the phone, or the mayor's gonna be on the phone.
Right, well, it would be a crime,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, we would
Okay.
tell it like that, and we would get a replacement.
Mhm.
I would assume, I mean, actually, it would be, the victim would be the condo association. And, I mean, and I don't, and when I say that, I mean that in a technical term, not in the term, it's the community as a whole. But what I meant is that the condo association would be, in contact for that and be able to get.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That's all I can.
okay, anybody else on this? Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
I just want to give a thank you to Jennifer's council president for getting this going. Your work, Kylie, Michael, enormous amount of thanks. To you, I am really glad to see this, and thanks, Mr. Riley, as well, for working with the condo board and mayor. A lot of thanks. The only question I have is maybe Michael, you can answer this, is the wording in here with the pride commemorative flag, is that a specific flag design? Because I know there are a lot of different flags that have evolved over the years, and so make sure we're also giving thought
You
to
want the right flag.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
a lot of variations out there.
I'm sort of glad you brought this up and wish you hadn't. So there are many versions of the flag available, and they just somewhat keep coming out, so to speak. And I think that if we the original flag actually had 8 colored stripes on it. And then when it went to manufacture, they couldn't produce teal or pink stripes in the nylon fabric. So then we moved to the 6-color flag that most people are familiar with. And then somewhat recently, Philadelphia added a brown and black stripe to the bottom of the flag for race, inclusion. And then another flag, which is commonly known as the progressive flag, added the triangle sort of on the left-hand edge with some trans colors and I believe the brown and black also. And then just a year or so, somebody added a purple circle. So you thought the alphabet was a lot. So anyways, it's really tricky. I think the wording's fine. And I think maybe starting here, we just start with what's sort of known as the basic pride flag. And, maybe we'll get some community input and we can move forward with that. And it's also going to be, what can we get in a city flagpole size, right? Like a lot of these flags, different flags you can find in smaller sizes, but I don't even know. Mike, did we ever figure out what size flag flies up there? Like a 5x8 or it's bigger than
Yeah, we had conflicting numbers, so we have, our representative, McKee, trying to figure that out for the board's discussion tomorrow. So I thought it was we thought it was a 5x.
So yeah, and it needs to be a heavy duty flag too. It can't be a, you can't, well, you can put those printed flags up there, but we're gonna try to fly it for roughly a month. You really need a sewn flag. So I think that's just the best place to start. So answer your question at all, Jeff.
No, I think I did. Thank you for just putting in that.
Yeah. And that's my opinion. Like if we certainly set the tone again. I think let's do the best we can and continue to improve on it.
So on that too, if you wanted to, Jeff, we could also, like we did with the time frame, I could change the wording so that there's the, like Michael said, there's the progress pride flag, there's the commitment, and so we could just allow the board that discretion, since our other unit might have input on that as well. I don't know if
I'm totally fine with allowing that discretion. I just wanted to bring it up so there wasn't any surprise down the road.
Right. So if you wanted that too, I could change the wording. And I'm sorry, I'm just like I'm running out of voice.
Oh.
I could change the wording in the resolution to something that allows the board that discretion, or I could leave it the same, however you guys want.
If I could suggest just one tiny tweak, and if you just change it from the Pride commemorative flag to a Pride,
There you go.
Okay,
gives
that'll
us
work.
something
I like
for
Grace.
Okay.
Will there be a ceremony or anything?
I would hope so.
I would hope so. Maybe the mayor could coordinate something
First,
with a few people. Yeah, an initial flag raising. Don't you think that would be nice?
Horses with plumes.
I come by.
Yeah. All right.
Michael putting out a flash.
Eric, do you have anything on this? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I think this is,
B to A.
yeah, please. And who is on the board?
It's the unit owner.
Right.
So Michael or Mike.
I'm representing the city of Bremerton, the one directors from KGC, the county, is that or
Okay. Well, especially in light of the horrendous desecrations up in Paulsbo, I really hope that we can get this done for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not do anything that'll slow it down.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on, I'm gonna get this right. How should we treat this item? Consent or general business?
General business, I think.
I do too.
General business, don't you think, Michael?
Yeah.
What would be your preference?
It doesn't. I don't have a preference, but now I'm wondering what we maybe should have moved this up to the earlier section. Mike, is this enough for for you to take to tomorrow?
Yeah, if the council comfortable, I'll take the proposed resolution that I think will give them what you're gonna ask for. I think that's enough.
Yeah. I guess maybe
Okay.
general business.
So that'll
Just general business, because there's, I don't want to be like we're trying to, I don't know. General business.
I think it deserves recognition.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say though is if you put it on consent, then it shows that you are all in agreement at this point for it to go on consent. But I hear you. I'm just saying that way.
People are gonna comment on it.
Actually, on that note, we could keep it on consent. People still get a chance to talk about consent issues. I don't think anyone's going to sway any of us on doing this. And we can also reflect on it in our individual reports.
I don't care. Either way, I can.
We have a public hearing for the tip and anything else on general business. No.
No. Okay.
Council Vice President.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so, before we move on, Michael, you wanna coordinate with me on what a ceremony like, might look like, Stonewall, June 28th.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up.
Yeah, I'm happy to, yeah, I'll connect with you.
Great.
Okay, I'll stand by then. I'll be waiting.
Great. Okay, so just to make sure, we're consent or general agenda?
It's fine if you want to just like, yeah, slam dunk, consent.
I'm good with consent. We can always move it down.
Okay,
I like that.
we
Okay.
have a briefing.
With the capital.
Okay, so consent.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Vice President Mockler. So this is going on the study session agenda on June 26th. So we technically
Oh.
don't have a consent agenda. I mean, we could create one, but on the draft, I have it listed as a general business item right after the public hearing.
That's fine, because we're doing it in study
Okay,
session.
we can take
again.
action at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's listed for action, but it is a study session without a consent
Thank you,
agenda.
Lori.
Okay, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Okay, so thank you very much, Kylie. I'm moving on to D, General Council Business. I'm not going to invite Council Member Jane Revelowski to start a discussion on the Parks Commission as she is absent. That will defer until 26th June. Since Council President Chamberlain is absent, I will just let you know that there will be an information-only presentation at the next study session, June 26th, to propose a contract with the Bluebills organization. Is everybody somewhat familiar with what this item is? Okay.
No.
Okay, so in brief, and Jennifer knows much more than I, you all saw the presentation and the public comment on the Pinewood mobile home. Pinewood? Okay. So the Bluebills is an organization that has had success, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, that has had success in rolling that back, in working with Northwest Justice Center, for example, or finding sources for rental assistance to help people deal with the increases. Am I correct? Am I incorrect on
Most
that?
of their focus is on repair.
Right.
Okay.
They were retired Boeing
Yeah.
employees who do repairs. And several months ago or last year, the Paulsbo had a mobile home park that had
Yeah.
a lot of repair items that people were having a hard time.
Well, they also seem to be like counseling people in like,
They're able to refer them.
yeah.
That's being worked out, though. The mayor may know, I think.
Offer a little bit. In the budget, Eric, you and Michael were there the very first time we started a $100,000 a year appropriation to KCR's weatherization program. So that's added into their CDBG and their state appropriations they get. We've been out there 9-10 times in the last 25 years. We're out there right now on the project. That's exactly what that money's for, is weatherization, minor home repair. Things like wheelchair ramps, is right up their alley, repairing decks that are starting to collapse, all of that. It's funded, and there's still money available. So.
Okay, great.
I know that President Chamberlain reached out to Paulsbo. They had an agreement and they funded the Bluebells to provide some.
It was mentioned in here. It's mentioned.
So,
I've seen that come through. Yeah.
so there will be a full presentation 2 weeks from tonight. So just giving you a general idea. And I only read through the emails once, but there was a huge string of them in our packet. So if anybody wants to read through it twice, more attentively, while not, bleeding. Okay. So
I have a question on this then. I understand you're not the presenter, but this is not in the budget. So is the proposal to carve something in the budget?
It is in the budget, though, the weatherization.
But that's different.
And rental.
That's a totally different animal. We don't have money in the budget to allocate $15,000 to the Bluebill organization that I'm aware of.
So we're setting new policy to, how are we funding this? We're giving a present, I don't want to give people a false hope. Say, "Oh,
Exactly.
thank you for doing this. By the way, we have no money
Right,
for
right,
this
right,
until
right.
next budget cycle." That's disingenuous. So just be careful of, okay, whatever. So someone can tell.
Is there money anywhere
We
for
do
that?
have money. I mean, not in the budget. You budgeted already through a different program.
No, I understand, but they
Yeah.
want, Council President, Chamberlain allegedly wants to have a presentation so we can consider funding this organization. I would think the time is of the essence because of the crisis going on. I'm just putting the warning out there. Don't have an organization come do their sales pitch and all the time and effort, and then we say, sorry, we'll have to think about you this fall. As part of the next budget cycle. Saying.
Or if we give them money, then is that kind of open it up to
That is a
impromptu
precedent that we have been
applications all
following.
through the year?
I don't recall ever doing this.
Mhm.
But I could be wrong. My memory fails me sometimes. Maybe we do it, but I don't think so.
No, that's a good point, because we've had small allocations for kind of things like this during budget cycle, but not ad hoc through the year that I can recall.
It says in here that they're in touch with Doug Washburn at the county. It does seem a little bit like us inserting ourselves in the process. Certainly they came to us to let us know about the problem. This might be another case where we subcontract. We have partnerships with, Bremerton Housing Authority, with ACR and others. Maybe there's money. I don't know. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about this, Eric, it is feeling a little bit like we're inserting ourselves into a process of community service that's already got players that are probably working on this. I mean, I had offered to walk with Jennifer Chamberlain, walk the park, and later in the month. So we did talk about this. Yeah. Okay. I thought maybe the mayor I thought when you were talking about the weatherization and repair program, I thought, oh, maybe allocating her to that. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I totally missed this paragraph about them getting 15K from Paulsbo. I just, yeah.
So we're about to pop some other popcorn.
Hey, Michael, you're not muted. Talking about popcorn.
Sorry,
You say popcorn.
Did you say
Yes.
head on down to the Roxy for free popcorn? Is that what
I'm
you
getting
said?
ready to pop pink popcorn.
Pink popcorn. Pink pop.
I don't know how to mute it. I lost the screen to mute you guys. Sorry.
Anyhow, thank you for that catch, Eric. Yeah.
Yeah, just an email.
We want to help so much. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
So do we know does anyone know the 15 grand from Paulsbo, if that is something they did ad hoc or if it's part of their regular programming?
They're coming here to present in 2 weeks, so.
I don't know specifically. I know what department it went through but I don't know.
Okay.
Paulsbo has a Health and Human Services manager or director.
It might have been out part of their budget or something.
Okay, so we are treating this item as Lori Smith has advised. And just moving it on for 2 weeks from now. Okay, moving into the home stretch. Public Safety Committee Chair Denise Fry, please provide a summary of the highlights from the last public safety meeting held on June 6th. Despite significant IT problems on my end, I try to use too many devices and sometimes the city won't let me in. Michael was able to start the meeting and we had a report from Salish Behavioral Health and Addiction. I'm sorry, I just went,
And I would really appreciate it, Michael, if you, I came in midstream to that. She was in her car, and it was difficult. It's difficult to give a report when you're driving in your car. She is going to follow up with written an email or whatever, just giving us some of the information so that I can report out on it. Michael, is there anything else that happened that you want to?
I can't think of anything significant. It was a little odd, but yeah. So
Yeah, they do. Obviously, they do great work. And I think it was just my question about, do you do anything different with a lump sum than you do with graduated payments, that kind of triggered a full report, and I didn't really mean for that to happen necessarily.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
provide a little
Kylie.
bit of information. So, because I had some conversations with them also before, and so at first is, I guess, to be clear, is that they actually haven't gotten any money yet from the city. So keep that in mind. I mean, when we're talking about what have you done, when the council sees those settlements and they get inked, it's a long time before the money actually starts flowing, and then it's even, and then we talked about, we're definitely still in those little trickle in accounts, and those even haven't trickled from our account into theirs.
Right.
And so, quick summary of what they're doing. They've partnered with Kids at Public Health, and they're doing outreach programs on education for youth to not start using fentanyl. And they're spreading the Narcan,
Naloxone.
Yeah, to prevent overdoses. And then there was one other
Recover.
right, preventative measures. And those were like what they determined after doing a community needs assessment of what they could do with the money that they had gotten, I guess, sort of so far. And then they're going to set up some additional public outreach to figure out what to do with some of those lump sums. Is where what I kind of understood to be the current state of things.
Yeah, Mike, it was just a finance question. It really was, because I know in an organization, when you receive a lump, a lump sum distribution, there are decisions to be made about important decisions, and sometimes there's policy. Even any award over a certain amount of money is spent this way, and so that was just the question that I had.
And I think the short answer is they have not decided yet, but they have a process in which
Okay.
they're using.
Okay.
You're going to get additional public input to maybe be able to do some additional once they finally get here, which might be a while.
That's great. That's great. We also had check-in around the anti-camping ordinance. There has been one arrest, habitual offender, refusing services. And so the first arrest has been made. And well, because as the chief had said, they were starting out giving a lot of grace. And so now it's getting, more serious. And then, keep bringing up the public safety funding. Could be a crisis. I don't know. That's coming up with the massive growth that we're going to be experiencing, and the fact that, especially our fire department, isn't fully staffed, and as public safety chair, I just need to keep bringing that up. I would like to see a little bit of education. I need to get educated about what are the far-reaching resolutions or bonds, or what are the long-reaching, more permanent sources of funding that we should be considering at this point. And I'm not. We know that fire may be talking about merging with CK. At least that's the word on the street. Don't know whether that's going to happen, but I'm just starting to feel this sense of let's do some analysis of that now. Let's get prepared for this. Are all the development fees going to offset the public safety funding? I mean, the real estate taxes, is that, well, maybe not if all the nonprofits are buying them and they aren't paying taxes. So I really feel like we need, as far as fiduciary responsibility and responsibility for the successful operation of our public safety, we need to accelerate our focus on this. I'm glad that Mike's here. And then, of course, the Washington Avenue bike lane came up and was fully discussed. There
This is the
was,
vehicle blocking.
yes,
Bike lane on Washington
yes,
Avenue
that we
near
saw the
approach
video
to the
of
Manette
at the last
Bridge.
City
I'm just
Council.
saying it for the public.
Yeah, great video. I've given some editing instructions to make it a little shorter, but I thought it was great. I love that song. However, there was making sure everybody knows where we are with all that. There seemed to be some misunderstanding from the court and M Park and where the administration is. So they're figuring it all out, working it all out. And you know what, if you don't, I'm sure that Jane Rebolowski will remind you at the next opportunity. So yeah, I think that was it as far as public safety is concerned. Michael, do you remember anything else that I've forgotten? Okay.
Was there any discussion of the fact that the Bremerton Police Department no longer has heat mapping
We're
software?
putting that on the agenda for the next meeting. Yeah. Yeah.
I only bring it up because one of our 24-25 goals is to use data to determine which
Definitely.
intersections and stretches need, the most traffic calming, and without data.
Yeah,
Okay,
Vanessa
I'm glad
already-
it's,
Vanessa's put
so
it
the
on
next one will be in August?
August, first Thursday. Yeah, but
Okay.
it will be formally on the agenda.
Okay, that'll be
Yeah.
great. Jeff, you had something?
Yeah.
On public safety?
Open the can of worms. I guess two is Eugene planning strip ordinance. I think discussed in the previous one. I don't know if that's an ongoing item or something maybe down the road.
That specifically is not, should we put that specifically on the agenda, Michael? Do you think?
Yeah,
It's kind of part of the anti-camping, but
Right.
it's,
I think the last time we talked about it, the idea was that, one, that we are gonna, any day now, gonna get a big Supreme Court
get the
decision.
decision.
And that also with Coleman Streets, one of the, I don't want to say selling points, but one of the things that we considered in bringing them on board was data keeping and things like that. And that maybe before we open up additional ordinance discussions, then we have this period of time where we're collecting data and maybe understand that and like what we can learn from this period and add those together, like the new law, additional data, and then revisit tweaks and potential tweaks to the ordinance so that, and with the Eugene ordinance being on the table.
That makes sense.
Are we collecting data?
I think that they are, in the sense that, where there are, right now we're in a period of time where shelter is available, right? And, but yet there are still encampments and like where those are at and, versus where they're not. And it's just one of the things that we were, whenever we were drafting the ordinance this time last year, was, where are encampments located and, would they be different? Would it be different if there was shelter available versus where? I don't know if like,
okay,
with a capital D, but maybe like at least.
Because I remember that was part of the
Thank you,
discussion about contracting with them.
Right. No, I think that they keep track
Yeah.
of the context of the
Yeah.
services offered and things like that.
Right.
I think like
Right.
heat map type thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Next time they come in, we'll have.
Yeah.
Don't have them come in just for this stuff.
Good.
That's a good one. Any discussion of fireworks with July coming up? I know. We have the ordinance we passed last year.
Fire Chief McGanny, people have been informed. Yeah, Chief McGanny told me at the Armed Forces Day parade the two things he didn't want to talk about were building permits and fireworks. So, gonna be asking questions more about the building permit part, but that's coming up for another discussion.
August 1st is our.
Yes, yes,
August.
yes.
But the 1st.
But it's on the agenda. It's
It's the very first
formally
day of
on the
August.
agenda.
I used to have a contractor who would like assure me that all was well. You're on my clipboard.
Yes.
It moved from who knows where. Okay.
Anyway, that's it. Yeah.
Anything more on public safety? Okay. Council members assigned to regional and other committee boards to provide a summary of the highlights from any recent meetings. Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
KRCC, I think the big highlight there is kudos to Public Works. Again, not officially formalized yet, but the 11th Street project the city submitted for was on the list of recommended projects to fund in entirety. So excellent news there for money coming from KRCC.
That's great.
And then the only other regional, just a heads up upcoming is this Friday is I don't know, I'll have to talk to council president if I'm okay to attend unless she wants to. I've been attending the previous ones, but PSRC is having a meeting on ferries, part of an ongoing series they've been holding. And
Friday morning, right?
yes, yeah. So there'll be a briefing by Senator Cantwell's office on looking at what federal appropriations may be coming down the pipe for us, as well as a regular update from Washington State Ferries.
Any counselor can attend, right? You don't have to be invited.
Guess so.
Yeah.
I'll plan on it, and council president, if you watch this tape and want to come too, then we can both go.
All right.
How about that?
Okay. Anything else? Well, Kitsap Transit, circulator bus, no.
Is that no from Kitsap Transit?
That is correct. I don't have anything more for you on that. We did have a majority on the transit board, but I don't know, Mayor, if you had an opportunity to meet with Director Clausen. Okay, well, Director Clausen said, I talked to my guy. He said something that was more formal than that, and no. So if you can illuminate this topic, that'd be great.
Yeah, so the proposal to create a one purpose,
A pilot project.
like special
Yeah.
event, recurring special event is not allowed. It's not allowed. The director and I are coordinating and getting some draft language out right now to get a small stakeholder group of our business communities, get them in a round table with myself. We're going to talk about what a full city circulator service, bus service would look like. That's for the full city. And then we're just starting with the business community, but then there's nonprofit, different nonprofit groups we will set up a meeting with, same thing, just bring some input, gather some input. There'll be a cost, and the first thought is, can the agency do it? And we have to look at our budget. And the second cost is, how bad do we want it? Where do we come up with the money? And then if there's any variation range of partnerships might occur. So it's going to be a good discussion.
Maybe between all the centers.
Well, one of the things in my initial proposal for this pilot project, which is so far down the email thread that nobody's looking at it anymore, is that this would be a worthy use of raising the tab fees, $20 a year per vehicle. And this is something that as council, we are the transit board. So I hope, Mayor, you will include council in these deliberations, so that we can have a circulator bus that would really
Yeah.
like serve the patterns of people who want to get around Bremerton.
And do business.
Not
Yeah.
just to do business, but to visit the doctor, to visit friends, to eat in one of our well, I guess a restaurant's business, but you know, to meet friends for supper, to walk in Lulu Haddon Park.
Well, the good thing is.
Someday.
We'll get to take testimony from individuals, and then we get to use data, because we're investing in that data collection system. So we're gonna find out where people are getting on the buses, and where they're leaving, dropping off. So we're gonna have that data to go by. So we can, now that's, you know, I mean, we all know that's just current habits in a current system with, and what we're talking about is a future that right now we're in vision. So I could go on and on, but it's like building a sidewalk in an area where you've never had one before. What's your pedestrian rate? Zero. There's no sidewalks, not in an area. What happens afterward? We have to, those are some calculations we can put in. So, yeah, good conversation. Could be a good one.
I think the old software that like replaced drivers going click, click, click every time somebody got on the bus, failed or the components couldn't be replaced, and the new one has spent at least almost a calendar year being run in and made operational. So it's gonna happen.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Now we can take in growth patterns, what's occurred, what's planned, zoning comes into play.
That'd be great. Okay. All right. Any other regional or committee boards? Nope. Okay. So, other general council business. So here on the script in front of me, it says that good of the order isn't, and as time allows, is an opportunity for anyone to provide a brief announcement or to mention an event that might take place between now and their council report at next Wednesday's meetings, and that new topics should be saved for a future study session. I'd just like to comment on that, because usually good of the order is, how is the order, council in this case, how is it working? Is there like something that you want to bring up? Is there something that you just want to like take? And Eric, you were the one who taught me this. It's like it would be a place where, hey, I'm kind of interested in a resolution to have giant raccoons, using yours, become the signal icon of Bremerton. Anybody interested in working on that with me? And that's how I've always understood good of the order operates. And here it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is a new and different interpretation of good of the order, that it would just be like an announcement of an event, an announcement, or to talk about an upcoming event. So if I myself would really prefer good of the order to be as it used to be, but if the majority of council likes this new way, I'm with it.
I don't feel comfortable talking about this without President Chamberlain discussion, just because she's leading me.
Fair enough. Yeah, Michael, go ahead.
No, I have to run. I mean, I just have to step away for a minute. Sorry.
Okay.
I
We're gonna
agree.
be getting after.
I don't think this is the
Go
time to talk about this.
Okay. Well,
But I do have a good of the order when you get to.
okay. The thing is that this is something I was hoping to bring up during the briefing, like 5:10, and we were gavelled into adjournment. So because this has happened so often, I don't know how to bring it up. And I agree. If the majority of council wants to bring this up at a time when Council President Chamberlain is here, so be it.
We can do it in 2 weeks.
Well, let us hope so. Okay, yeah, you have something for good of the order, Denise, go ahead.
I am going to be working next Wednesday. I'm going to be down in Vancouver attending the Association of Washington Cities. You might get socks. Who knows what the bling is going to be this year. I always enjoy that. I get a lot of information. It's motivating. And then I'm also reading a book that I wanted to share with folks. It's called Escaping the Housing Trap. Charles Marone is one of the founders of Strong Towns. And Strong Towns, as you probably know, is a movement of bringing more walkable and livable communities to fruition. So this is kind of juxtaposing transportation and housing, not trying not to pit that finance against development type of mindset. So anyway, it was validating. We already do some of this, so that's really validating. But it pushed the boundaries a little bit even for me. So anyway, I'd really recommend reading it, Escaping the Housing Trap, the Strong Towns Response to the Housing Crisis.
Thank you, Denise. Did you have anything more?
That's it.
Jeff, anything?
The only good of the order was on kind of related, but and maybe this is a question for 2 weeks from now, was just kind of looking at the rest of our year and agenda. I know it's sort of in the middle of June, and we're going to be having a comprehensive plan coming to us shortly, I believe, which I know is going to take up a good chunk of time, and a 2-year budget cycle planning. So I didn't know if there's any update from Council President. Maybe again 2 weeks from now, I can find out. Given our goals and priorities of what to expect what's kind of the top of those priorities. At this point, I don't think we're going to get to a lot of them, to be honest, but if there's any top action items that we can be looking at between now and when we really get swamped with comp plan budget.
Well, I hope you won't consider this as disloyal to Council President Chamberlain, but we've all received the action steps. And so if we could come to the meeting 2 weeks from now, and just what are the big ones? Like for me, the impact fee. Public Works educated me very often about the importance of the impact fee, as you know, but like, let's think about, what's our top 1 or 2 or 3?
A check-in.
Well, we have, okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goals and priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, and the action
Set
steps.
expectations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Eric, do you have anything? Okay. Since you don't want to discuss in Council President Chamberlain's absence, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I don't remember. Well, you can just call it.
It's how Robert's Rules does it, and I like it.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.